everyone. I'm Shannon Bream along with Emily Campagno, Jessica Tarlov, Charlie Hurt, and Greg Gutfeld. It is 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Are Democrats really done with woke one? New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani following the lead of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in distancing himself from left-wing positions that exploded during the 2020 pandemic among progressives, including his own calls to defund the police.
Do you think woke one was crazy?
Look, I think that each person has a responsibility to tell New Yorkers, to tell Americans when they're running for office what they believe. And sometimes what you believe can change. It can develop, it can grow. And I know that there are some for whom they still believe in that. I've made very clear that I do not believe in defunding the police, that I will not be defunding the police.
But Chris Matthews is not letting AOC and the left off that easy on this woke one walkback, arguing the whole big tent for the DSA puts Democrats in a bad spot.
They've listed what they believe in. Their chair made that clear. We're going to get rid of ICE, not just ICE. We're going to get rid of the border. We're not going to have a border anymore. We're not going to effectively control people coming in and out of the country. We're going to get rid of prisons. We're going to get rid of the Pentagon. You need an army. You don't like to have an army, but you do need to have one. But the problem with the big tent defense is every Democrat has to defend all this crap coming from the left.
Okay, so woke one, we're told is bye-bye, Emily, but that begs the question about this whole woke two, because everything that Chris Matthews just outlined is exactly what the co-chair of the DSA, Megan Roper, told me. No jails, no enforcement, no ICE, no Senate, no Supreme Court. I mean, the list goes on.
And it's why 120,000 people apparently have pledged and are dues-carrying members of the DSA. I want to focus on woke one just for a second, because to me, the concept that things are simply undoable is particularly farcical and horrifying here. Some things just cannot be undone. And I think about the lives lost as the direct result of their woke protests and their woke ideology. So FPS officer David Patrick Underwood, that was in my old building at the Oakland Federal Courthouse. He was shot and killed during all of these riots. Defund the police, I'm talking about specifically. We know Captain David Dorn in St. Louis. And then we know 16-year-old Antonio Mays Jr., who remember died in the chop zone. And here's why that death is so prescient here. Because the city of Seattle had to pay his family $30 million admitting criminal negligence because they didn't let the ambulances in. They didn't let the cops in. They didn't let what we all pay taxes for and what we deem morally important for crucial societies, which is, you let in law enforcement and you let in the authorities. And because of his loss of life, then the city is on the hook. And my point here is that what is considered legally negligent and criminal is their ideology. And then you're telling me that they're telling us that their beliefs have changed or we have evolved and I grew. Maybe, but it means that it's worse because these people died. They consider them collateral damage for the cause, but now they've changed their mind. So now these deaths are just absolutely tragic. And they always were, but now it's because of the whim of this fanatical, infantile mob.
Well, you've got Rahm Emanuel out there, and Jessica, I know that you have a relationship with him, and he's praising AOC, saying, "Okay, good, let's be reasonable here and say that some of that stuff was bonkers." But what he's telling them is, you're 10 times worse now with some of the stuff that we're allowing into the tent. And he's not playing with a lot of Democrat voters. He says he's worried about black voters and others who aren't down with this DSA stuff.
No, and the result in the Wisconsin primary for governor showcases that. I mean, David Crowley, who won, wasn't even in the race 3 weeks before, basically. And Tony Evers showed up and was like, I'm not letting this happen. I'm going to put him on my back, and we're going to go around and have ice cream cones everywhere. And I know this state better than anyone else. Remember, he was asked, are you going to endorse Francesca Hong if she wins, and what are you going to do? And he said, we'll deal with it when we get there, but Dan Crowley's going to win. Sorry, I called him Dave, I think, at first. So there is a rejection, especially in the black community, of these far-left positions. I think that it is very smart and tactical, obviously, of folks like AOC and Mamdani to modify on some of the more extreme positions. And, Mamdani takes every opportunity to talk about the historic drops in crime, works very closely with Jessica Tisch, the NYPD commissioner, who has the support of the rank and file officers, which is incredibly important and something that people were afraid of when Mamdani was coming in, that he wasn't going to have a good relationship with them. I will say, though, that mounting a 2026 campaign or midterms election based on a bunch of footage of people from 2020, and I'm not talking about the DSA co-chair, who I think should never do a television interview again, but going back to that, when people are living in their lives right now in 2026, is not going to be an effective electoral strategy. And we've already seen that because Democrats have won 90% of the elections in the Trump 2.0 era. The reality is we are in the midst of a war of choice from President Trump that has the largest amount of disapproval that we've seen in the modern era. Gas is over $4 a gallon. Cost of living up. 75% of Americans say the economy is only fair or poor. And Trump's out there saying this is the greatest economy of all time. That's what people are going to vote on, not whether AOC said defund the police during the Black Lives Matter riots. And the Republicans could get better talking points.
Well, Charlie, I think it's not just that she said it then, it's that she's trying to disown it now.
Yeah. And these were not casual positions. These were really hard-held positions that, as Emily points out, actually led to the loss of lives, led to people's businesses being burned to the ground, people losing a drugstore in their community, so now they have to drive across the city to get drugs. These are real things that were the result of defund the police and everything else. But to me, the fact that they're now distancing themselves, I think reveals just how fundamentally unserious these people are. It's almost like they want this like invisibility cape where they can say, oh, no, this is what I believe, to sort of gin up support, and then say, oh, no, I didn't really mean that. It's like, I'm sorry. The words you use, the things you say you believe in, are what we stupid voters out here try to figure out and decide elections on. And if you suddenly think that you can just say, oh, no, I didn't really mean that, well, what are you saying now that you don't mean? Do you not mean abolish ICE? Do you not mean free grocery stores? And I think that what actually is going on here is AOC has smelled power. She's got a whiff of it. And she has decided that, you know what, I'm going to moderate all these things because I want to reach for the brass ring. And she's very effective, especially if you don't really believe in anything. It's very easy to sort of do your line of BS, which is what she's doing. She's very effective at it. I think ultimately it doesn't work in a general election. But to me, it's no different than when the establishment decided to sell out all of the Democrat base voters who support Bernie Sanders, and they rigged their primaries in order to disenfranchise them, in order to keep the establishment. They have become the establishment.
Well,
and that's what they're trying to hold on to.
Well, and the thing is, when you look at Bernie Sanders and what happened, and we all covered this back at the conventions and all those years ago, I mean, there are a lot of people, Greg, who think within the Democratic Party, they never handled that faction who was very important to them. That faction's just grown. And now they, from the inside, say, oh, no, it's time to now bend the party to our will.
Well, you know why AOC is disowning these woke policies? She dumped that beta male. Now she's ready for a real man. You know what I'm talking about. My prediction, in 6 months, we'll be engaged to Daniel Penny.
Oh my boy!
So here's
Poor
the deal.
Daniel.
So if you look at how they're backing away from this stuff, I had to ask, like, has there ever been a moment when over time progressivism got less progressive? But at best, at least for my limited time on this earth, I've only seen these tactical consolidations after prior gains, and then it always creates a new baseline. And that baseline becomes the new normal. And that's where you start the next leap forward. Progressive ideology treats present-day events as provisional. Once a reform is in place, it's not like, we're done, close up shop. That wouldn't make sense if you're a progressive. It's no, reorient yourself toward a next frontier of injustice. This is why, what Democrats would consider unthinkable 20 years ago, surgically, mutate a healthy child. No, nobody would agree to that. Now it's heroic to talk about, what's the phrase, the euphemism they use? Gender affirmation, whatever. They always have to use a euphemism. You look at clips of Obama and Hillary talking about immigration. They sound tougher than Trump, 15, 20 years ago. The distancing is a tactical pause. It doesn't dial back. It waits, wins elections, ratchets forward. Civil rights used to mean no Jim Crow. Now it means voter ID is racist. Whew. Criminal justice used to mean criminal justice reform used to mean don't arrest people for smoking a joint. Now it's cut them loose if they beat a person senseless on the subway. Environmentalists used to say, give a hoot, don't pollute. You'd have a crying Indian. Now it's stop having kids. And we should really think about banning AC. Now, with abortion used to be, safe, legal, and rare. Now it's if you don't like your baby, you can kill your baby. So there's this, it's like, they call it Woke 1, probably because they just gave away the game that there's going to be a sequel, Woke 2. Well, it'll be under a different name. Politically correct became woke. Woke will become something else.
Well, whatever this new version is with DSA, Democrats got to decide what their brand is and how much of their tent they're going to share.
And I was right. It was David, not Dan. I corrected myself improperly.
I can't believe you, Jessica.
I know.
Thinking about
lies.
It's because I was on vacation. I have.
Okay.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.